Well, I think it's important to make videos discussing topics and games that I have concerns with, and ones that I might even share with other members of the community too. I also think it's equally as important to then talk about the times that maybe when I've gotten it wrong, or maybe my concerns turned out to not actually being so true. Maybe the marketing was not that good, they didn't show off the game well enough, or even put a strong foot forward. Or it could be a situation where a studio had a really rough launch, and then over time they managed to actually address and fix their game to make it better than what we initially had. In cases like that, there are always instances of yes, the game should have launched much better than it did. At the same time, the studio did take the time to actually try and in many cases, successfully address issues that the initial version had. In those cases, I think the team still deserves that praise. They didn't have to do that. Yes, it should have been right from the word go, but showing a bit of accountability and working to fix it, well, that deserves praise. And in some cases, that can go largely ignored since a large amount of the player base has already moved on to something else. But with me being me, and interested in this sort of stuff, as many of my viewers know, there was something about Star Wars Outlaws that was always pulling me back in just a little bit, even just to talk about it. But I did want to get my hands on it at some point, and through a recent public demo, I finally got that chance.
How much longer? That's
Maybe this'll help.
Star Wars Outlaws was always something that was in the back of my mind. I did talk about how I had concerns with it in a few videos ago, the issues I had with it, and then I also discussed how it could also be sort of revived, or have this underdog story in the making. Not launching well, being in a position where it needs to now prove itself, after having a less than stellar launch, issues with the gameplay like the forced or lackluster stealth sections, and one big one for me too was just the general look of the main character's face. Yes, they modeled it after the voice actress, but at the same time, that actress is objectively good looking and the model does not reflect that at all. It's like they blended the voice actress with a really ugly dog. But while the developers did not really fix the face in that way, this was left up to the modders that seemed to have the same issue that I did. No, I do not need every character to look like this 10 out of 10 model, but in the situation it was just so distracting and took away from the experience. Plus, anytime she spoke, the face didn't really match the person, if that made sense. Oddly enough, with the modders' efforts, we have something closer to the voice actress, and the personality, voice, and face all seem to be more in sync with each other. As far as other issues were concerned, the developer did seem to work to address those too, like improving it or outright just removing forced stealth sections. Then throw on the demo that anyone could play. And then at this point, it was coming at different fronts where I was like, you know what, I just need to give this a try and give it a shot. If the face is all that really bothers me, the mod can take care of that. If the gameplay is improved, I'll probably have fun with it. And with the demo, the access was easy. Go onto Steam and give it a go. And I did. It was something that I have to admit that I actually really enjoyed. The free demo gives players access to a part of Tatooine. You are dropped right in. Not much context, but enough to get the gist of what is going on. This didn't really feel like a tutorial the whole time, but rather a bit of what appears to be the start of the game. There is a lot to take in here, but something I found really enjoyable was how good the demo was. I mean, if you're going to do a demo, you need to make it good. It's free, don't waste the player's time, and get them as quick as possible to some of the gameplay bits. There are some cutscenes and such, but they aren't too heavy or too long. I was on my speeder and shooting for the majority of my time with this demo. Let me comment on stuff I really liked. It looked and felt like Star Wars, authentic looking areas, characters, and especially the sounds. I did not hear any familiar John Williams tracks or anything like that. Maybe they'll pop up later on. But what is done here from the music and sound department is good. It does seem to lean a bit more in that Western vibe that the early Mandalorian show would do. But how is the game to actually play? Well, the bulk of my gameplay with it was with the shooting, and overall I really liked it. The blaster fire is nice, punchy, hits are satisfying. You have this multi-purpose gun that can be used to do normal blaster fire, more energy-like blasts for droids, along with other abilities. The cover system is more context sensitive than something that's more of a sticky system like, say, The Division. There seems to be a mark and execute kind of feature like used in Splinter Cell Conviction as well. Shooting is solid, and in some of the main missions I was able to do, the arenas you were able to fight in actually had some room for different ways to tackle them. That way an action sequence can have a bit of that dynamic nature, depending on how you choose to approach it. The shooting seems to be a big focus, and it's good. I left my time with this demo wanting to actually continue with the full game. I did have some issues or concerns with this title that I wonder if they'll actually remain in the full game or get better the further I go. I have to comment on the stealth. The game provides you with this as an option, but at least with my brief bit with Outlaws, it doesn't really seem to be built for this type of stuff. It feels a bit more tacked on, and after hearing that many players did not like the forced stealth sections, I can only guess it came from this feeling a bit more half-baked. Light stealth is fine, but then don't force the player into having no other options. Right now, it feels like an option to sort of thin the herd a bit before the firefight begins. You can pick up other two-handed weapons from enemies, but often either in a cutscene or a dialogue sequence you will drop the weapon and not be able to pick it back up until the lines are finished. This feels like something that could be patched or bettered. Just let me keep the gun until I either choose to drop it or I run out of ammo. I like the idea of picking up enemy weapons and only having a select amount of ammo for them. Again, a fun element that adds some more dynamics to the action. There also seems to be hints of mercenaries where you have different factions, and then this factors into how they feel about you with your actions and what standing you have with them. Another thing I noticed is that the AI is incredibly dumb. These enemies are not as smart as, say, guys you would fight in The Division 1, made by the same developer. You really need to worry about the numbers and the damage that these enemies can deal. This is more noticeable than something that really bothers me, though. I absolutely hated the lockpicking minigame, not my favorite, and I was thankfully able to make it much easier with some of the options the game has. So yeah, Star Wars Outlaws was something I found myself enjoying. I was getting a taste here, finally getting my hands on it, and after playing it for a little over an hour, I was even more interested in then trying the full game, seeing how all the pieces work together. You get a lot of tastes of stuff like upgrading and progression too. The speeder is fun to drive, the spaceship as well. It would appear that developers have made those strides to better their game, and to that I give them credit. The demo may have won me over to dive into the full game. That is something that I might do in the future. Let me know your thoughts on all of this. Have you tried the full game or demo? Have you played it post patches? Let me know all of this in the comments down below. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you can help to keep this channel going strong, and this allows me to be able to do more for my awesome audience. Please check out the links in the description and pinned comment for ways to support the channel. And most of all, thank you very much for watching.